When the richest man found me at the orphanage, the fake heiress was making a scene on the rooftop. I managed to save her, but in the process, I fell and became paralyzed for life. Before I died, I heard her laughing beside me, saying, "The suicide was just an act for you. I'm glad you believed it." When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the moment when she was about to jump. "Sister, you've already found Mom and Dad. While I have nothing, it's better to die." I grinned and let go of her hand. "Here's a lifetime of paralysis for you." "You're welcome." On the rooftop of the orphanage, the wind was so strong that it knocked me off balance. The fake heiress, Song Qingyu, stood teetering by the railing, her entire being radiating a sense of brokenness. My recently found biological parents, along with the children from the orphanage, were gathered at the entrance to the rooftop. "Qingyu, don't jump, don't do anything foolish. Come down quickly," my biological parents were shouting desperately. Behind me, they tried to approach, but Song Qingyu repelled everyone who came near, except for me. I should have approached her, then find a way to pull her back from the rooftop, but at this very moment the knife-like wind slashed against my face, and it was only then that I clearly realized I had been reborn. In my previous life, my existence was buried on this rooftop. On this day in my previous life, when I visited the orphanage to see my foster mother, I happened to meet my biological parents, who wanted to bring me back home. They brought Song Qingyu with them, intending for her to bond with me, but Song Qingyu was consumed by jealousy and deliberately fell multiple times, then falsely accused me of pushing her. Someone from the orphanage couldn't stand it and spoke up for me, and she immediately rushed to the rooftop without a second thought. At this moment, she was saying the same words as in her previous life. "Sister, I know I've taken away 18 years of your happy life, and I'm the one who made you suffer here." She gave a broken smile and shifted her foot a little further out, causing another wave of gasps from the people behind her. "All the mistakes are Qingyu's fault. Please don't blame Mom and Dad. You've already found your parents, but I have nothing. I might as well just die. Now I'll give back everything that belongs to you." I smiled as I looked at her. "You promised to give it back to me. So why are you still holding on to the railing so tightly?" Probably seeing that I hadn't moved, Song Qingyu added, "Sister, I'm going to jump." TCH, there was no other choice. I had to rush forward and pull her back. Otherwise, if the firefighters arrived later, she really wouldn't be able to jump. "Qingyu, what are you talking about?" Without me needing to pull, she clung tightly to my down jacket. "Sister, don't bother with me anymore. It's all my fault," I sneered, secretly resenting how I hadn't seen through her poor acting in my previous life. I rushed over to pull her back in my previous life, but she used a clever technique to throw me off instead. I fell from the 4th floor, resulting in lifelong disability. Only when I was bedridden did Song Qingyu tell me the truth. "The suicide was just an act for your benefit. I'm glad you believed it." At that moment, I was so angry that my blood pressure skyrocketed, yet I couldn't move a muscle. All I could do was listen to the beeping alarm of the machine by the bed. I was wheeled back and forth between the emergency room and the ward. In the end, the doctor said my emotional fluctuations were too severe, causing a cerebral blood vessel rupture, and I passed away without treatment. But when I was wheeled into the morgue, I was clearly still alive. Only after hearing the flirtatious banter between Song Qingyu and my attending physician did I finally understand hell is empty, and the devils are truly among us. However, the real devil who crawled out of hell has returned. This lifetime, I deliberately dragged out the time, watching Song Qingyu's toes that refused to move, calculating the final moment she could endure without making a move. In a few breaths, I grinned, then I released my tightly clenched hands from her. "Good sister, you can go with peace of mind." After saying that, I grabbed my down jacket and pulled it hard, along with the goose down. Song Qingyu also fell. The beauty was breathtaking even in the moment of her fall. I saw her hands desperately reaching upwards, but grasping at nothing. While I was acting out loud, I quietly counted down. 3, 2, 1, bang. The wailing pierced my eardrums. My parents were crying so loudly, I closed my eyes and chose a comfortable position to fall into. Exclamations and wails filled the air. I heard the director shout, "Sure, E has fainted." "Very well, dear Dean, Mom is my mouthpiece." When I woke up again, I was already in the hospital. The smell of disinfectant is all too familiar to me. I opened my eyes faintly, and there was only one woman beside me, wiping away tears with her head bowed. "Auntie, you..." The woman hurried over, her eyes already swollen from crying. "It's not Auntie, it's Mom. Do you remember Mom?" My eyes also reddened involuntarily. Of course, I remember, in my previous life when I was paralyzed, she always gently wiped my body for me. "Mom, I quietly moved my limbs under the covers. I cried even harder. Still able to move freely, after we both shed tears for a while, I pretended to sit up in shock. Mom. Where is Qingyu? I remember she fell from upstairs. Mom, as soon as I came back, Qingyu jumped off the building. Maybe I should just stay in the orphanage. After all, Qingyu is. My mother pulled me into a tight embrace, her chin rubbing against the top of my head. Don't talk nonsense. Qingyu's condition isn't very good, and he can't be left alone. Your father is watching over him there. This has nothing to do with you. At my insistence, my mother took me to Song Qingyu's hospital room. Before going in, she repeatedly reminded me, be mentally prepared, don't let it scare you. Song Qingyu's entire body was wrapped in bandages, like a mummy. Only holes for the nose, mouth, and eyes were visible on his face, and there was still faint bloodstains on the back of his head. Even though I had already prepared myself mentally, I still gasped when I saw her. So this was what I looked like in my previous life. Mom, when will Qingyu wake up? The doctor said it all depends on how the next day goes. While we were talking, my own father and the doctor hurried over as well. I took a closer look and recognized him. He was the one who had declared me dead in my previous life. The patient's condition is still very critical. As family members, you should talk to her more and try to stimulate her. If she doesn't wake up by tomorrow, she will most likely become a vegetative state. My parents exchanged a glance, and even my father, a grown man, had reddened eyes. Understood. After all, they've raised me for over a decade. So there's still some affection there, but it's fine. I'll personally shatter that affection between them. Bit by bit, there was almost nothing left in the end. The three of us sat in the hospital ward, and my mother kept wiping away tears. Qingyu was just too impulsive. We've repeatedly assured her that we'll continue to treat her well, so why did she jump off the building? What did she say to you before she jumped? Mom saw you holding onto her tightly. I pretended to be so ashamed that I couldn't lift my head. Qingyu said that she has been monopolizing Mom and Dad for over 10 years, and now it's my turn. She even asked me why I came back. If I hadn't come back, none of this would have happened. Mom and Dad exchanged a surprised glance. Did she really say that? I nodded, and large tears fell from my eyes, landing on my faded jeans. My mother's sobs stopped, and only I was occasionally sniffling. To my surprise, they both quickly came to terms with the situation. Qingyu was shocked to learn she's not our biological daughter, and it's understandable that she might have moments of despair. The bond of over a decade is not so easily shattered. So, I said again, Mom and Dad, actually, Qingyu, in the end, I had persuaded Qingyu, and she no longer wanted to jump off the building. Then how did she? In the shocked gaze of my parents, I raised my half-torn down jacket sleeve, my eyes red. Qingyu had already fallen, and I pulled for a long time but couldn't hold on anymore. The wind was too strong, and no one heard me when I called out. Later, she grabbed my clothes trying to climb up, but the quality of my clothes was poor, and they tore apart. This time, I clearly saw a hint of heartache in my parents' eyes. It was only then that they looked me over from head to toe. My shoes, which were 2 sizes too big, my faded jeans, and my thin, old down jacket. It looks like it's been many years, and more than one person has worn it. My mother's voice trembled. Sweetheart, it's Mom and Dad who let you down. It's okay, it wasn't your fault that I was abducted back then, but now I'm back. Since you feel guilty, do your best to make amends. The day is almost over, and Song Qingyu still shows no signs of waking up. I'm even more anxious than my parents. After going through all the trouble to be reborn, what's the point of letting her lie there dryly to play cat and mouse to the very end? So I deliberately sent my parents away and stayed alone by Song Qingyu's side. She was wrapped in bandages all over, leaving me no place to even touch. Tsk. I leaned down close to Song Qingyu's ear. Still not waking up, not enough stimulation. Song Qingyu, do you know, you have over 10 fractures in your body. They say several steel bars were inserted, with your leg being the worst. The doctor said it's uncertain whether you'll ever be able to stand again. I stared intently at Song Qingyu for a while. When I saw her eyelids twitch, I smiled. Can you hear me? Right, you said you wanted to die, so why not die completely? Now look at you, lying here half dead. From now on, you'll just have to watch Mom and Dad spoil me. And by the way, when you fell, I did it on purpose. As soon as the words were spoken, Song Qingyu suddenly opened her eyes. No kidding, a mummy suddenly opening its eyes is really quite scary. I exaggeratedly clutched my heart and took several steps back. Qingyu, you're finally awake, doctor. My sister is awake. I shouted towards the door of the ward, then quickly used the front camera to show Song Qingyu her own ghastly appearance. Her pupils gradually dilated, as she could only gasp for breath, unable to utter a sound. Song Qingyu's mouth couldn't open, and her speech was garbled over the doctor's shoulder. I craned my neck and asked, "Qingyu, what did you say?" "The patient's condition is unstable, blood pressure and heart rate are spiking. Administer the sedative," stepping back into the crowd. I grinned. Was she really that angry? This is just the beginning. Song Qingyu was completely awake. Her parents were afraid that she might be upset again by me, so they specifically asked me to wait until she had recovered before coming. During this time, I just enjoyed the comforts of home. I just learned that you can wear shorts and a t-shirt at home in winter because the house has underfloor heating. The down jacket also smells nice, unlike the ones I wore at the orphanage, which had a musty odor. On the day Song Qingyu was discharged from the hospital, my parents went there early in the morning. It wasn't until noon that the driver uncle took me there. In just half a month, Song Qingyu seemed like a completely different person. She sat in a wheelchair, emaciated to the point of looking like a paper doll, with bruises and purplish marks all over her body, and a scab on her right cheek that hadn't healed yet. "Qingyu." I called her name softly when Song Qingyu, who had been listless, saw me. It was as if a soul had suddenly been infused into her. She glared at me fiercely, her hands outstretched as she lunged towards me. I'll kill you, I'll kill you." But the wheelchair was being pushed by my dad, so how could she reach me? On the contrary, she almost fell out of her wheelchair, and it was I who caught her. "Qingyu, don't get so worked up, be careful, you already have injuries on your face. What would happen if you hit the ground?" Song Qingyu pulled at me, and I deliberately didn't dodge, letting her pinch my arm hard. "Mom and Dad, it's all her fault. She pushed me off the building," Song Qingyu accused with a twisted face, but Mom and Dad subtly frowned. "Song Qingyu, what are you doing?" Dad forcefully pried Song Qingyu's hands off me. My arm was pinched and a bit of skin was broken, and my mom lovingly rubbed it for me several times, from an angle where my parents couldn't see. I curled the corner of my lips at Song Qingyu. It seemed like she only just noticed the clothes I was wearing. "Mom, Dad, look at her, she really wants to drive me away. You have so many clothes in the orphanage, why are you wearing mine? This is brand new, I haven't even worn it yet, take it off." Faced with Song Qingyu's roar, I was at a loss. Under my parents' gaze, I awkwardly took off my jacket. "I'm sorry, I didn't know my sister cared so much about this outfit. I was in a hurry when I left, so I just grabbed something." Perhaps noticing that our parents remained silent, Song Qingyu continued to press on relentlessly. Patients passing by outside the ward couldn't help but stop and watch the commotion for quite a while. Finally, Dad couldn't take it anymore. "That's enough." Song Qingyu was startled by the shout. "Sure, he came to take you home, and you didn't appreciate it, but now you're throwing a tantrum over a piece of clothing. Your mom and I have been spoiling you these past few days, and you're the one who climbed onto the rooftop. Sure, he even ran over to pull you back, yet you turn around and blame her for your fall." My mother didn't say anything, but her action of shielding me behind her said it all. Song Qingyu was stunned, tears still hanging on her face. Judging by her reaction, this must have been the first time she was scolded. I thought she hadn't developed her brain yet, but fortunately, she quickly admitted her mistake. She even suggested that I help push the wheelchair. My parents' anger subsided a bit, and at the same time, they gave her a reassurance: "As long as you behave well, you will always be the apple of the Song family's eye." I laughed. What she wanted was to be the only pearl in the Song family. "Unfortunately, I'm back." I pushed her slowly from behind, deliberately giving her a chance to speak. "Little bitch, I heard everything you said. Do you have the guts to repeat it in front of Mom and Dad?" I'm laughing so hard I could faint. "Do I look as foolish as you?" Song Qingyu gritted her teeth, fell silent for a moment, and then added, "You heard it just now, didn't you? I'm still the beloved daughter of the Song family. As long as I'm in this house for a day, don't even think about having a single good day." I curled the corner of my lips. "It's true that when you're weak, people find it funny when you lose your temper. What are you laughing at?" I cleared my throat. "Nothing, just come at me." "Oh no, I mean, just come at me in your wheelchair." Song Qingyu was so angry she nearly lost her mind again, gritting her teeth so hard her face was almost contorted. I pointed at her cheek and kindly reminded her, "Stop gritting your teeth, your wound is bleeding." It's true, the wound on her cheek had reopened, and blood was trickling down. "So ugly it's a bit of an eyesore." After returning home, Song Qingyu restrained himself. After my parents kept an eye on things at home for a week, they went to the company. Once it was just the two of us left, the tension was palpable, ready to erupt at any moment. She knocked on my door and deliberately threw a cup of milk at me as I opened it. I was caught off guard by the splash and saw Song Qingyu smirking at me. Song Shi, what are you looking at? Want to tattle? Too bad, Mom and Dad aren't home. Realizing it was milk on my face, I licked my lips. This action seemed to disgust Song Qingyu. She pursed her lips. Are you a pervert? A pervert? Song Qingyu, do you know how many people in this world have never had milk from childhood to adulthood? You enjoy everything in the Song family in my place, and it turns out you treat things so poorly behind the scenes. I nodded thoughtfully, then, taking her off guard, stepped on the brake behind her wheelchair. Song Qingyu didn't notice at all. She seemed to find it particularly amusing that I had never drunk milk. No way, ha ha ha. Song Shi, I usually use this kind of garbage milk for bathing. Song Qingyu's wheelchair suddenly lost control and rolled down from the second floor. Heaven and earth bear witness, I only pushed her to the top of the stairs. It was she herself who insisted on having the most expensive wheelchair back then, saying it would make it easier to move around. Now it's good. The brake on the most expensive wheelchair actually made it easier for me to take action. Song Qingyu fell directly from the wheelchair, tumbling twice down the stairs before crashing heavily at the corner. This time, she didn't lose consciousness, she just had a bit of blood flowing from her temple. I'm calling the police, I want to report this. She dragged her crippled legs all the way to the living room and then dialed 110. I want to report a crime. Song Shi, murder. Her parents arrived at the police station in a great hurry. Song Qingyu sat next to the police officer, while I crouched in the corner. As soon as my parents entered, they rushed straight toward me in the corner. What's going on here? We were only out for a short while. How did you end up at the police station again? My parents pulled me up and checked me over from head to toe. Before Song Qingyu could speak, I took the initiative and deliberately said, Mom, Dad, I want to go back to the orphanage. Although I had just turned 18, it was time for me to leave the orphanage, but I still deliberately uttered those words. Indeed, as soon as the police heard the words, orphanage, they immediately became tense and inquired about the situation, even suspecting that I might have been abused at the Song family. I had a look of suffering that I couldn't express, shaking my head at Song Qingyu, unwilling to say more, but this action only angered Song Qingyu. Song Shi, what are you pretending for? It was you who pushed me down the stairs. You wanted my life. Even if you want to kick me out, you don't have to twist the facts like this. I didn't say anything, just sighed. My parents' faces darkened, and they had to turn to the police to explain the situation, finally adding, it's just a family dispute. We'll handle it ourselves at home. My daughter just tried to jump off a building recently. Her mind isn't fully recovered yet. The police officer glanced between Song Qingyu and me, then finally stood in front of me. Classmate Shi, if you feel uncomfortable in your new home and want to return to the orphanage, you can come find us here. We won't let vulnerable groups be bullied. I nodded with red eyes. If only, in my previous life, I had met this police officer uncle. At the same time, a despairing scream came from Song Qingyu's side. I told you. I'm the victim. She's trying to kill me. Dad pushed Song Qingyu's wheelchair and left first. I lowered my eyes, hiding the uncontrollable upward curve of my lips. Song Qingyu, how does it feel to not be trusted? The days when I am the knife and you are the fish are yet to come. Song Qingyu's act of calling the police recklessly completely angered her parents. After arriving home, she inevitably faced a round of criticism. It's a good thing what happened today didn't get out. What would people think of our family if it did? We were only out for a short while, and you've already started causing trouble. Qingyu, when did you become like this? Under her parents' disappointed gazes, Song Qingyu felt utterly crushed. She pounded her two disabled legs with all her might. You're just biased toward your own biological daughter. I've already told you it was Song Qingyu who deliberately pushed me down. Why won't you believe me? Look at the state I'm in now. Do you think I could have rolled down on my own? Mom was so angry her fingertips trembled slightly. You're still pretending. Do you think we don't know you deliberately jumped off the building just to put on a show for us? The three of them argued fiercely, with Song Qingyu stubbornly insisting she had done nothing wrong. In the end, Dad slapped her across the face. Song Qingyu's mouth was bleeding from the blow. When she turned around, her eyes were filled with hatred. I raised you for so many years, and this is the ingrate I've raised. It's my turn to go on stage. I pursed my lips and tugged at my father's arm. Dad, don't blame her. After you left today, my sister came and poured a cup of milk on me, and then she got too emotional and accidentally it's not like that, Song Qingyu screamed. Mom looked around, probably noticing the milk stains at the entrance of my room. She shook her head at Dad, showing obvious disappointment. After a moment of silence, my father said, the Qin boy will be back soon, stay at home for a few days, wait for him to return, and work on building your relationship with him, as you'll be getting married in the future. Get married? There was something here that I didn't know about. It turned out that Qinli and Song Qingyu had been engaged early on due to the relationship between the two families. Qinli is in her first year abroad and hasn't yet learned about Song Qingyu's situation. Mom, now that Qingyu has become like this, won't Qinli want to call off the engagement? My mother chuckled softly, patting my head and saying that the intricacies of this matter were beyond my understanding. Even if Qinli wants to call off the engagement, the Qin family wouldn't agree to it. That night, my mom slept with me. In the middle of the night, I dreamed about my past life again. In the dream, Song Qingyu's face twisted into a sneer, growing larger and larger before my eyes. I felt as if I were nailed to the wall, wanting to escape but unable to move. I jolted awake with a start. And my mother immediately reached for my hand. What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare? I gasped for breath, taking a long time to distinguish between the dream and reality. In my previous life, I lived under the shadow of Song Qingyu for 3 years before I finally died. Although I've been reborn, the shadows still linger. It's okay, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Mom patted me gently, as if comforting a child. The next morning, as soon as I got up, I heard Dad on the phone. I wanted to speak, but my mother gave me a look. Song Qingyu was still sitting in his wheelchair, nervous and uneasy. Dad, what did Qinli say? After hanging up the phone, my father said in a deep voice, I didn't mention the specifics of what happened to you, only that there was a problem with your leg. Qinli is catching tonight's flight back. This time, Song Qingyu didn't even acknowledge me, just stroking his cheek and looking at our mom. Mom, can you help me book the doctor and makeup artist for tomorrow morning? Qinli arrived in a rush the next day. When he saw Song Qingyu, he was completely stunned. Qingyu, what happened to your leg? I leaned against the side, watching this tear-jerking, touching scene. Song Qingyu looked at him with teary eyes, appearing on the verge of tears. Of course, it would have looked like pear blossoms with rain on her previous face. Now, with the injuries on her cheeks still not healed and a new one on her forehead, her crying was really a bit frightening. Qinli stood 2 steps away from her, and in the end, it was my dad who patted his shoulder. Qingyu is in shock, go comfort her. It was clear that Qinli's steps forward were somewhat difficult, but Song Qingyu didn't notice and immediately threw herself into Qinli's arms, pouring out her grievances from this period. Let's go out first and let Qingyu and Qinli have a good talk. We gave the young couple some private space and didn't return home until an hour later, but fortunately, Qinli didn't mention the annulment of the engagement. It's just that after returning, his gaze towards me clearly carried a hint of hostility. In the following days, Qinli often took Song Qingyu out to play. My parents watched this with great satisfaction. Qinli is a good child, you should take care of Qin's business a bit. My father nodded without a word. I took a sip of tea to hide the smile on my lips. Is he really a good kid? A week later, Song Qingyu invited me to go on a road trip together. She affectionately took my arm as if nothing had happened before. Mom and Dad, Qinli has talked to me after coming back, and I realize I shouldn't have treated my sister that way. Qinli said he'll marry me soon. Today, we want to go on a road trip and have a barbecue by the sea. Can my sister come with us? Song Qingyu's eyes sparkled with joy, and her brows and corners of her eyes were filled with happiness. Sister, would you like to go with me? Give me a chance to apologize. Okay, I turned and grabbed Song Qingyu's arm. Okay, of course, I want to go. I won't go. How can her play continue? Qinli drove us to the seaside. On the surface, Qinli practically spoiled Song Qingyu to the heavens. Song Qingyu's legs were injured, so Qinli carried her on his back while walking along the beach. Song Shi, are you envious? Song Qingyu wrapped her arms around Qinli's neck, her face glowing with happiness as she pressed it against Qinli's. Do you think this is a blessing in disguise? I got hurt, lost my legs, but my fiancé loves me even more now. Sister, I should thank you. You know, if it weren't for you, I might never have known what true love is. I sneered, and just as Song Qingyu was about to scream again, Qinli carried her away on his back. Baby, why are you wasting your breath on her? Watching the two of them walk away, I suddenly felt a bit curious. They say birds of a feather flock together, but which is more formidable, the snake or the rat? In the evening, we settled into the wooden cabin by the sea. I was busy preparing the barbecue ingredients. completely unaware of the venomous gaze fixed on me from behind. "Chinli, I'm a bit cold, can we have the barbecue inside the cabin, using charcoal for a barbecue indoors?" Did Song Qingyu really think everyone was as clueless as she was? I smiled faintly, listening to Qin Li's gentle reply of, "Okay," from behind. Song Qingyu had prepared a lot of charcoal and used the excuse of being cold to ask Qin Li to light it all. The cabin had no vent, and soon the smoke and heat became unbearably stifling, but I endured it all. I wanted to see just how far Song Qingyu would go. Sure enough, after a short while, she exchanged a glance with Qin Li and then exclaimed that she needed to go to the car to get some drinks. Before leaving, Song Qingyu even tried to close the door. I flipped the chicken wings and said, "Don't close the door, I'm not cold, Qingyu. This could lead to carbon monoxide poisoning." But Song Qingyu smiled faintly, and with her face full of wounds, it looked rather terrifying. "Aren't you cold, sister? The wind by the sea is very strong, you just enjoy your barbecue here." With that, the wooden door slammed shut and was locked from the outside. I laughed out loud. That's true, in my previous life, I did nothing and still ended up being killed by her. How much worse would it be this time, after I've made her suffer so much? Staring at the two figures still lingering outside the door, I pretended to panic and started pounding on it. "What are you trying to do, Song Qingyu? Open the door quickly. Do you know that carbon monoxide poisoning can kill?" Song Qingyu finally stopped pretending. She laughed wildly, as if she had already seen my death. "Song Shi, you've brought me to such a miserable state. Do you really think I'll forgive you?" I lowered my eyes to the pile of burning charcoal and suddenly grinned. Before this, I had never wanted to kill Song Qingyu. Now it's different. I was just defending myself. Song Qingyu is right. How could one easily forgive after being harmed so badly? She can't do it, and neither can I. Don't even think about calling for help from the outside. I'm telling you, there's no one here. And your phone, I've already taken it out. I fell silent for a moment. "Aren't you afraid Mom and Dad will find out? You're not their biological child, and you've killed me. How can you stay unscathed?" The smoke from the charcoal grew thicker, and the meat had already been roasted into a blackened lump. Song Qingyu laughed loudly to the sky. "What can they do if they don't forgive me? Just a pair of old fools. Once you're dead, I'll marry Qin Li, and by then, can their hands reach into the Qin family?" Song Qingyu had planned quite well. I coughed twice from being choked, then patted the door. "I want to go out." It took so much effort to trick you, this wretch, inside. You think you can just, Qin Li, what are you doing? Qin Li opened the door for me. During this time, Song Qingyu desperately tried to snatch the key but failed, almost falling in the process. When the door was opened, the two people at the door were overwhelmed by the smell and covered their mouths and noses. Song Qingyu stared at me and Qin Li for a while, then, realizing what had happened, began to furiously tear at Qin Li. "You lied to me, you lied to me, you lied to me, you lied to me, Qin Li, you've only just met this bitch. Why are you helping her? Don't you know that I'm in this state because of her?" Qin Li stood with his hands in his pockets, his face expressionless. "Have you fallen for this bitch?" Song Qingyu shouted until his voice was hoarse, the sound piercing people's eardrums. Qin Li ignored her, so she redirected her anger towards me. "Slut, did you seduce Qin Li?" I spread my hands helplessly. "Who seduced him? It was your fiancé who added me on social media himself. He told me long ago that you want me to die here." Song Qingyu trembled, looking at Qin Li in disbelief. "Why not? I treated you so well, and this is how you repay me." Qin Li probably felt guilty at first, letting Song Qingyu scold him for a long time without saying a word, but later, Song Qingyu lost control of his emotions and slapped Qin Li. His nails scratched Qin Li's face, and in a fit of rage, Qin Li kicked over Song Qingyu's wheelchair. "How dare you hit me?" Song Qingyu, like a malevolent ghost, dragged his two legs as he crawled toward Qin Li. Disheveled hair, with a ferocious expression, Qin Li seemed unable to bear it any longer and grabbed her hair. "Take a look at yourself and see what you've become. With you like this, do you still think you can marry me?" Song Qingyu, stop dreaming. "Okay, when will your dog brain finally wake up? Do you really think I can't marry anyone but you?" Song Qingyu's head was being yanked back and forth by Qin Li. I looked away, neither stopping it nor fanning the flames. "This is all her own doing." Song Qingyu screamed in pain, but was eventually dragged into the wooden hut by Qin Li, who covered her mouth roughly. The charcoal fire hadn't gone out yet. "What do you want, Qin Li? If you don't like me, we can cancel the engagement. Let's just go back and cancel it. Please don't do this, I'm scared." "Song Shi, Please help me, I want to go home, help me just this once, and I promise I'll never oppose you again, okay? Song Qingyu was pinned down next to the charcoal fire, choking until tears and snot streamed down. Together, Qinli glared at me with a sinister expression. Please, save me. I turned around and left. It's none of my business. Seeing Qinli's attitude, if I dared to interfere, he could lock both me and Song Qingyu in here. In fact, Qinli added me on the second day after he returned. He asked me to cooperate with him in acting out a scene. At that time, I didn't trust him and didn't want to team up with anyone. It wasn't until the night before we went on the road trip that Qinli told me about Song Qingyu's plan. That day was the first time I replied to his message. Why are you helping me? He replied instantly, you're a cripple, and your face is so disgusting, I can't even eat. I laughed. My mom had mentioned before that the Qin family would never agree to cancel the engagement. As long as Song Qingyu doesn't die, even if she becomes a fool, Qinli will still marry her. I threw the dagger I had tucked at my waist into the sea and then found a car to go home. Song Qingyu's fate probably won't be too good, but it has nothing to do with me. I didn't kick her while she's down, which is already the height of kindness. When I got home, my parents were a bit surprised to see me. Why are you back so soon? Did you two have another fight? I smiled and shook my head, crossing my arms and patting them. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. I really can't stand seeing young couples together. It gives me goosebumps. I don't want to keep being a third wheel. My parents immediately understood and started pulling me aside to talk about preparing for the IELTS and studying abroad. Qingyu's life is set like this. You need to take good care of yourself in the future, but we won't treat Qingyu unfairly either. It just so happens that Qinli doesn't mind Qingyu. When they get married, we'll compensate the Qin family generously with the dowry. I nodded and, for the first time, leaned on my mom's shoulder to rest for a while. Our family can finally settle down. Can I really be at peace without speaking? The next morning, the police called our home. They said a man and a woman were found in a wooden house by the sea, and after checking, they found that the woman was Song Qingyu. We hurried to the hospital. When we arrived at the operating room door, the doctor shook his head gravely. Carbon monoxide poisoning. The person was already stiff when they arrived at the hospital. My mother staggered and fell into my father's arms. People from the Qin family also arrived, but fortunately, Qinli was not seriously injured and had already been transferred to a regular ward. When he woke up, the first thing he did was look for Song Qingyu. Upon hearing the news of Song Qingyu's death, he muttered, "It's impossible," and then rushed into the morgue. In the end, the police had to forcibly pull him back. Such a tragic couple. My parents couldn't stop crying. If I hadn't seen Qinli's true face, I might have believed it. When a life was lost, the police immediately suspected Qin Li and me, but my parents withdrew the case. They said, Qingyu was always strong in life, so let her go peacefully now. The engagement between the Qin and Song families was automatically dissolved, but Qinli was still teasing me when both families were having dinner. Although Qingyu is gone, she seems pretty good too. My parents politely declined right away. After the meal, Qinli deliberately blocked me at the bathroom door. Song Shi, I've helped you solve your biggest problem. How about we give it a try? Without changing my expression, I pulled up a few photos on my phone. Qinli was quite the playboy abroad, always living it up. Are you still engaged and kissing a foreign girl? Does Uncle Qin know? The smile at the corner of Qin Li's mouth gradually faded. You investigated me. I smiled and put away my phone. Just a simple background check. Qinli, get out of the way. Only then did Qinli grit his teeth and let me pass. A year later, I went abroad to study with my IELTS scores. When I parted with my parents at the airport, both of them cried their eyes out. Come back if you're not comfortable outside, otherwise, don't go to school. We have enough money for you. What do you think? I smiled gently and for the first time, I took the initiative to hug my biological parents. Now that I've come this far after so much effort, how could I give up halfway? Dad, Mom, I'm off to board the plane. My wonderful life is finally beginning. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I fainted from obesity and was taken to the school hospital, where my brother rushed to my side to show his concern. Just as I was feeling moved, I suddenly saw a barrage of comments. Silly girl, your brother bound you to a weight loss system for the sake of that impoverished student. The more you lose weight, the thinner she gets, while her overeating affects you. That's how you ended up with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and high blood sugar. My hand trembled, and the next second, My childhood friend burst through the door, bringing my study tablet with him. The barrage of comments started scrolling again. He also bound a study system to you. As long as you study hard, that poor student can improve their scores. You fell from being the all-around campus belle who ranked first in your grade to this state. All because of the two of them. I'm so angry looking at this. I could practically faint. So you're just going to keep taking advantage of me alone? I turned the tablet away from the two of them and silently started playing a match 3 game. Fine, fine. If that's how you want to play it, then no one's going to have it easy. You can even faint from just running. How can you be so useless? Watching me lying weakly in bed, my brother's face was stern, his brows tightly furrowed. I used to think he was cold on the outside but warm on the inside, with a sharp tongue and a soft heart, but now, after seeing the bullet comments, I realized that Lu Yu truly dislikes me, both inside and out. I've made up my mind, since I can't seem to lose weight no matter what, I'm just going to stop trying from now on, I said coldly, speeding up my pace in the match 3 game. Suddenly, he slammed his hand on the table. How dare you? What gives you the right to stop? Do you expect me to support you for nothing? You're already so fat, yet you're still lying here slacking off. I think you're just pretending. As usual, no dinner for you tonight. Go run laps. Seeing that I didn't respond to him at all, my brother got angry and wanted to hit me. He was stopped by my gentle and refined childhood friend. The citywide joint exam is coming up soon, and everyone is putting in their best effort to study. It's understandable that Qingqing is temporarily shifting her focus to her studies. Alright, let's not waste any more of her time. Let her hurry and do a few more practice problems. I look at them, using all my strength to suppress the unwillingness and hatred in my heart. One of these two is my adopted brother, whom my parents treat as their own, and who has become the highly sought-after prince of the capital's elite circle. The other is my childhood friend. When his family went bankrupt, it was I who begged my parents to help, rescuing his family from their predicament. Yet, despite all this, they still have a special affection for that impoverished student who suddenly appeared out of nowhere to harm me for her sake. They didn't hesitate to join forces and scheme against me. I truly never expected that you would treat me so well. My voice was almost squeezed through gritted teeth. Since that's the case, I will definitely repay you properly. My brother frowned, while my childhood friend, not noticing anything unusual, continued with a smile. This is all as it should be, Qingqing, but if you really feel bad about it, you could invest in my family's latest business venture. My parents are currently struggling with a shortage of funds. I'll invest in your ass. I kicked the blanket off and got out of bed, then walked out the door with my tablet in hand. When I arrived at the classroom, I immediately spotted the impoverished student I had been supporting for 6 years, Chen Cece. Now she possesses a stunning and flawless face, glowing with a radiant complexion in the crowd, and wherever she goes, she is the center of attention. Yet, in the past, she had dark skin, was short and chubby, and always wrote to me saying I was her role model. Back then, she followed me to this school, and I felt sorry for her being alone and struggling away from home. Not only did I often invite her to my home, but I also introduced all my friends to her, including my childhood friend Jiang Nian. But gradually, I grew fatter and my grades worsened. Those who were once by my side all abandoned me and went to her. At the moment, Chen Cece approached with a concerned look, taking my hand, but the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl upward. Qingqing, you're back. We were all so worried when we heard you fainted from dieting. Actually, being a bit chubby isn't a big deal. You shouldn't care so much about appearance. What's more important is focusing on our inner selves. Before I could even respond, someone immediately chimed in with a cold laugh. Inner self. She'd have to have one first, with a bad personality and poor grades. The saying, "the face reflects the heart," was made for people like her. Cece, you're just too kind. She doesn't even consider you a friend, yet you always greet people like her with a smile. Lu Qing is desperately trying to lose weight just to compete with you for Jiang Nian. It's a shame Jiang Nian isn't blind. Anyone with eyes knows who to choose. In the past, I was always insecure about my weight and poor grades, too afraid to speak up in the face of everyone's relentless malice, but this time, I slammed my hand on the table in a fit of rage and shouted, "Who's spreading rumors that I'm losing weight for a guy? I've been the one getting bullied all along. Don't push me too far." "Alright, everyone, let's stop arguing." Chen Cece stepped forward and said hypocritically, "Qingqing also has the right to pursue the person she likes. Every girl in this world is truly lovely, but Qingqing, no one here has any ill intentions. It's not right for you to be so impulsive, as it really doesn't help with class unity." A vein bulged on my forehead. You didn't care about unity when you bullied me, but now that I'm fighting back, you're using that to accuse me. Just as the class bell rang, I clenched my fists and coldly returned to my seat. She's really sick. What kind of madness is she on? My books were maliciously knocked to the ground by a passing classmate. I was about to bend down to pick it up, but the person following behind immediately stepped on it. I instinctively dodged, but my head hit the corner of the table with a heavy thud. A piercing pain spread, accompanied by malicious laughter. A boy deliberately said loudly for me to hear, "How dare this fat pig resist? She's just a tool for our amusement. This class is English, which used to be my weakest subject, so I would always put in extra effort, but after seeing the bullet comments, I've come to a realization. I absolutely cannot pave the way for someone who has harmed me." I pulled out a novel from my desk mate, lowered my head, and started reading it with great interest. Chen Cece was originally admiring herself in the mirror, but seeing me act so out of character, she grew restless and couldn't sit still. Ching-ching, she took advantage of the teacher turning to write on the blackboard and whispered to me, "You've always been so hardworking. What are you doing now? The joint exam for the guaranteed admission spot is coming up. Don't you want it anymore? First, my grades are at the bottom. I don't have the ability. Second, my family is wealthy and I have plenty of backup options. Why should I force myself?" I sneered as I finished speaking, then sped up my pace of flipping through the novel. It's exhilarating to act recklessly, especially when all the teachers have long given up on me, tacitly accepting that I don't need to study. By the end of the class, I had read nearly 100 chapters of the novel, and by the time class was over, my eyes were brimming with tears. After school, I rushed straight to the commercial street outside the school, entered a high-end restaurant, and enjoyed a wonderful dinner alone while watching a show. When I returned to the classroom, full and satisfied, I found a thick stack of English materials piled on my desk. Ching-ching, I understand you've been under a lot of pressure lately. It's okay. I bought you the most comprehensive set of English practice questions available on the market, Chen Cece said with a smile. It was just over 380 yuan. Don't forget to add the delivery fee when you transfer the money to me. She clapped her hands and was about to return to her seat to put on makeup, but I directly moved the stack of books, untouched, onto her desk. Facing her astonished gaze, I said coldly, "I never asked you to buy these for me. Here, take them back." Chen Cece had never seen me act so unusually, one thing after another, as I did today. Her hands began to tremble. "These cost over 380 yuan. I was kind enough to buy them for you, and you know I don't have much money. How can you just say you don't want them?" I looked at her expressionlessly. "Don't try to guilt-trip me. You insisted on buying them. What does that have to do with me?" Chen Cece was left speechless. In the end, she shamelessly cried out in grief and indignation, "I did it all for you. Look at how your grades have turned out. I kindly offered all my money to help you, and now you're acting like this. How am I supposed to live with this? How can anyone be so cruel?" The more she spoke, the more she felt wronged, and she ended up sobbing loudly, collapsing onto the table. She even clutched her chest, looking as if she couldn't catch her breath. The whole class erupted into chaos. Some guys, seeing their goddess in such a state, immediately rolled up their sleeves and rushed over, ready to beat me up. "Lu Qing, you really are heartless. You've made Cece so upset that you have to compensate her for emotional damages. You're covering all her living expenses this month." I was practically laughing at the absurdity of this logic. Did I ask her to buy me books? What does it have to do with me if she can't afford to eat? At that moment, Cece, Jiang Nian had appeared at the door of our classroom at some point. His face turned utterly terrifying as he looked at the scene inside the room. The boy rushed into the classroom, pushed me aside, picked up Chen Cece, and ran out with long strides. "Lu Qing, you're done for. If anything happens to Cece from this checkup, it'll all be your fault. We're all watching." The classmates loudly berated me, which actually reminded me, I was afraid of being framed, so I ran out after them. In the infirmary, Chen Cece was lying on the bed with her eyes half closed. Seeing me take out my tablet, she thought I was studying. Little did she expect that I would start playing a match 3 game, and with lightning-fast speed at that. She finally couldn't lie still any longer. "Lu Qing, can't you survive without playing for a moment? Hurry up and study. You're not allowed to play anymore." I chuckled and moved a bit farther away from her, which made Chen Cece even more frantic. "What's wrong with you today? Did you change after fainting? Have you gone crazy?" An Yen, what are you doing?" Jiang Nian was exhausted, his face flushed red, and he couldn't even lift his hands. He took a moment to catch his breath before walking over and saying, panting, "Cece, I feel like you've gotten heavier. Only when Jiang Nian said this did I realize it wasn't just my imagination. Chen Cici's face had genuinely grown rounder. Seeing Chen Cici's expression darken with obvious displeasure, Jiang Nian quickly corrected himself. No, that's not what I meant. I've just been lacking exercise lately, and I've been dragged to too many drinking parties with my parents. Coincidentally, the school nurse came over and said it was nothing serious, probably just a bit of low blood sugar. Jiang Nian quickly took the opportunity to pull out his phone and ordered 2 cups of milk tea and some cake, saying he wanted to make it up to me. I, who had been silent all along, finally spoke up. Jiang Nian, when you bumped into me just now, didn't it occur to you to apologize? After all the effort I've put into having my parents support your family's business, I never expected you to be so heartless and ungrateful. Jiang Nianxiang forced a smile that only lifted the corners of his mouth. I accidentally bumped into you earlier because of the emergency. Qingqing, I believe our relationship is strong enough that you'll forgive me. Right, yes, ever since we were children, I've considered him my best friend. Even in the past, there had been ambiguous and hazy feelings, and he was well aware of it. Jiang Nian, you truly haven't let down the friendship we've built over all these years. Just as the delivery person came in with milk, tea and cake, I snatched a cup, inserted a straw, and took a big gulp. Chen Cici was so anxious she almost stood up, desperately urging Jiang Nian to stop me, and I smiled, licked my lips, and picked up another piece of cake to take a bite. Jiang Nian, we're so close now, so it's no big deal if I eat a little of your food, right? You all have brought me to this state, and I will never let anyone get away with it. The moment I turned around, my expression darkened completely. After going out, I called my dad. Dad, since the Jiang family doesn't have the capability to take on those projects, there's no need to keep making concessions for them. I've thought it through, and you're right. Jiang Nian and I were never a good match, and I don't want to have anything to do with him in the future. My parents were both thrilled and relieved by my change of heart. They immediately transferred 5 million into my card, telling me to buy whatever I wanted. Sweetie, everything in our family is yours. We'd do anything for you. Just say the word, Mom said with immense affection. Your dad and I just want you to be happy. My nose tingled, and I almost burst into tears. I quickly raised my head, trying hard to hold back my tears, but when I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the glass, I was surprised to find I seemed to have lost weight. The news of Chen Cici fainting from anger because of me quickly spread throughout the grade. That evening during self-study, Lu Yu drove his luxury car to pick her up, wanting to take her out to recuperate. Jiang Nian was holding a bouquet of flowers, intending to pick Chen Cici up after school. Hearing this, his eyes dimmed for a moment, and he tactfully walked out alone. What a perfect setup for a devoted second male lead, so devoted it genuinely makes me want to vomit. I've already informed your school leadership to arrange for you to be a day student. Lu Yu placed a set of villa keys in her hand. I've prepared servants and a driver for you, so you can live there with peace of mind. He raised his head, his gaze icy cold. From today on, I will never allow anyone to bully you again. Whoever dares to lay a finger on you, I'll take their life. These words were clearly directed at me. The classmates were all stunned by his coolness, exclaiming with starry eyes, as expected of the Lu group heir, so handsome and manly. Cici is so lucky. Yeah, it gives off the vibe of a CEO and his delicate flower. Ugh, I'm totally swooning. Let me be reborn as Cici in my next life. I want a CEO to protect me too. Of course, they didn't forget to take a jab at me. Lu Qing is really shameless. Even her own brother can't stand her. People like her are disgusting to be around. She should just get out of the Lu family as soon as possible. I was fully engrossed in reading a novel, but upon hearing that, I immediately grabbed a book and threw it at the person who spoke. If your mouth is so foul, go wash it. It reeks. Chen Cici sniffled and said pitifully, Qingqing, please stop targeting other classmates. They all mean well for me. If you have a problem with me, just come at me directly. I'm fine. Her words immediately sent Lu Yu into a rage. Lu Qing, what have you been doing all this time? Apologize to Cici right now, or don't blame me for being harsh. With a crime already decided, there's no shortage of excuses. You all just believe Chen Cici's one-sided story. I closed the book and looked at him calmly. Lu Yu, I'm just not going to apologize today. What do you want to do about it? You. Lu Yu raised his hand to slap me, but then sneered and lowered it. Hitting you would only dirty my hands. Starting today, don't expect a single penny in your bank account, and don't even think about coming home during the holidays. He always likes to put on the airs of a superior in public to lecture me. making everyone think I rely on him for a living. The classmates all thought Lu Yu was my parents' biological son, assuming that as a daughter, I was not favored. In fact, that was all because I had no interest in inheriting the family business before. I truly regarded Lu Yu as my own brother. I also tried my best to persuade my parents to entrust the company to my brother with peace of mind, but after seeing the barrage of comments, I changed my mind. Lu Yu, you don't really think everything you have now is what you deserve, do you? I can take it back any time I want. Over the next period, Chen Sisi, relying on Lu Yu's support, skipped classes frequently. She posts all kinds of food, bags, and clothes on her social media every day, completely unlike the simple high school girl she used to be. Lu Yu originally felt that his job was forced on him by my parents, so he simply rebelled to the extreme, taking Chen Sisi out to have fun every day. Meanwhile, I seized the opportunity to cry to my parents and whisper in their ears, convincing them to transfer all the assets to me without Lu Yu's knowledge. As time passed day by day, I indulged in playing and eating to my heart's content, focusing on liberating myself. In this process, I was surprised to find that I was actually getting thinner and my facial features were becoming more attractive. I could even understand those obscure and difficult questions. During a physical education class, everyone was gasping for breath after running, and I was half dead too. Suddenly, a boy in the class ran over and said, "Lu Qing, did you put on makeup? I feel like you've become a lot prettier." As soon as these words were spoken, a few boys immediately gathered around and said, "Right, didn't I mention it in the dorm last night? It feels like Lu Qing has successfully lost weight and has now become a slightly chubby goddess." Actually, I weigh nearly 140 pounds now, but the advantage is that my body proportions are good, so I can hide the extra weight. I was thrilled inside, thinking the anti-system was working. I thanked them and ran to the bleachers to read a novel. Soon, the day of the citywide joint exam arrived. Chen Sisi came to school wearing sunglasses and a mask. She explained it as a food allergy, and her noticeably more bloated figure was also due to the allergy. Allergy? What kind of allergy? How could it be this severe? Her group of good friends initially wanted to show more concern, but they soon sighed. "Forget it, exams are more important. You're definitely going to be number one again, but we're done for. My dad will kill me." I really envy Cece. She can play all day and still get first place. Smart people are just different. Chen Cece listened to these words, cold sweat uncontrollably breaking out on her forehead. Her intuition told her that everything that had happened recently was off. In the end, she gritted her teeth and entered the exam hall. The Chinese exam went fine, but after finishing the math test in the afternoon, she could no longer control herself and grabbed a boy in the class who was pretty good at science to ask, "Was this test particularly difficult?" "The answer to the first big question is 3/4, right?" The boy looked at her with a horrified expression, stunned for a long time before saying, "I wouldn't dare say whether the questions were difficult or not, but for the first big question, isn't the answer the square root of 2? As she spoke, other classmates nearby also stopped and chimed in, "Yeah, the answer I got was also the square root of 2. I actually didn't find this math exam that difficult. I even managed to solve all the major problems. I don't get it, but Cece is a top student. Could it be that we're oversimplifying things?" Chen Cece irritably ran her fingers through her hair, then, overwhelmed, grabbed her backpack and rushed out. At that moment, I was eating chocolate while playing a match 3 game, and when I heard everyone discussing the answers, I casually searched online as well. Sure enough, someone had already posted the answers on the campus forum. I never would have imagined all the answers I wrote turned out to be correct. The 2-day exams ended quickly, and Chen Si slipped away as soon as she finished thinking. It was a short holiday, and perhaps Lu Yu realized he was being sidelined, so he called to say he was going home to spend time with his parents, but he still didn't look at me kindly. When he saw me walk into the study, he immediately followed me inside. "Lu Qing, why have you lost so much weight? What exactly have you been up to?" Lu Yu immediately confronted me with a barrage of questions. "And why have you stopped attending all those tutoring classes I signed you up for? Are you deliberately trying to go against me? Even mom and dad say it's fine as long as I'm healthy and happy. But you insist on making me study late into the night, not even letting me sleep until dawn. Can't I refuse when my health is already suffering?" "Shut your mouth." Lu Yu pointed at my nose and scolded me harshly. "Did I not teach you enough last time? Do you want me to cut off your allowance for another 6 months? How many times have I told you not to eat at night? Lu Qing, do you have a death wish?" I let out a sharp, piercing shriek like a groundhog. Lu Yu thought I was having a fit, but he Didn't know I had already recorded everything and sent it to our parents. Sure enough, hurried footsteps soon echoed from downstairs, rushing up the stairs. Lu Yu, what are you saying? Dad suddenly pushed the door open, a storm raging in his eyes. This is Qingqing, your sister, not an outsider. How could you say such things to her? And Mom was trembling with anger as well. I give you $1 million in pocket money every month, asking you to transfer half to Qingqing to take better care of her, so. This is how you've been doing it all along. No wonder she's lost so much weight. Lu Yu's face turned pale. He had been used to throwing his weight around since childhood and had never been warned by his parents in such a tone before. Dad, Mom, I just wanted to teach my sister a lesson because she wasn't listening. My daughter is not for you to teach. Mother's voice was unprecedentedly somber. Lu Yu, you remember this. Qingqing will always be the most important person to us. If it weren't for her wanting a brother back then, you would never have entered our home. We've been too lenient with you all these years, letting you lose sight of your place. From today onward, you are no longer a child of the Lu family. Get out of here immediately. Lu Yu finally panicked completely. He was desperate to explain, but the butler had him escorted out directly. The house is finally quiet. During this holiday, I ate and slept, and my parents, feeling sorry for me for having been starved like that before, went out of their way to nourish me. As a result, I ended up eating almost 8 meals a day but still getting thinner and thinner. By the end of the holiday, I actually weighed only 100 pounds given my height of 169 centimeters. This weight is already very standard. My face hasn't fully recovered yet, but I'm already incredibly excited. When the holiday ended and I returned to school, I was walking along when someone suddenly tapped me on the shoulder. Fei. I turned around and came face to face with Jiang Nian, whose joyful expression hadn't yet faded. How is it you? He stared at me in shock, as if seeing some monster, and took 2 steps back. Then he rushed forward, grabbing my sleeve. Lu Qing, how did you suddenly lose so much weight, and what's been going on lately? Why did you suddenly have your family withdraw their investment? I sneered and slapped his hand away. The Jiang family never had the capability in the first place, so why insist on taking on such a delicate task? Also, don't speak to me in that accusatory tone. I don't owe you anything. I shook off his hand and walked toward the classroom building. When I reached the classroom door, the homeroom teacher was beaming as she posted the joint exam results. The results this time really surprised the teachers, but it also proves a saying: students who work hard will eventually reap good results, while those who rely on clever tricks will eventually fall. All the students crowded around to look, each of them stunned. When I squeezed over, everyone reacted unusually, looking at me with a mix of shock and envy, because, clearly displayed on the list, my ranking was in the top 5 of the grade. I got a perfect score in math, but during the science exam, my mind went blank, and I made a lot of mistakes. I stared unwillingly at the top spot on the ranking. If the system had completely failed, that position should have been mine. I searched for Chen Cici's ranking, scanning from top to bottom for a long time, and surprisingly found her at the 28th place from the bottom in the grade. At that time, Chen Cici was wearing an oversized coat that seemed out of place, with a mask and sunglasses on, sitting in her seat with her head lowered. When the classmates returned to the classroom, they could no longer hold back their discussions. What's going on? Did Chen Cici lose her mind while having too much fun during her disappearance? She must have been eating too well. How did she gain so much weight? She's almost catching up to Lu Qing from before. Well, but Lu Qing has changed a lot. Not only did she successfully lose weight, but she also scored so well academically. I really underestimated her before. I can understand the significant weight loss, but such a sudden improvement in grades seems suspicious. Could it be that her family is wealthy enough to bribe the teachers? Chen Cici suddenly erupted upon hearing this, letting out a shrill scream as she charged toward me. Lu Qing, it's all your fault. You're the one who ruined me like this. You despicable wretch, it must be you. You must have pulled some trick to suddenly change like this. Give me back my grades. I fought back just as fiercely, wrestling with her and seizing every chance to slap her face repeatedly, venting all the pent-up resentment I had held for so long. The whole class erupted into chaos, with everyone shouting for the homeroom teacher to come in. Upon hearing the commotion, the homeroom teacher rushed over to separate us and sternly reprimanded her. Student Chen Cici, you should reflect more on yourself. I happened to be supervising Lu Qing's exam this time, and he was answering seriously from start to finish. As for you, how come I heard from the homeroom teacher next door that you had a cheating note in your pencil case during the English exam? She only let it slide out of respect for me. What's going on with that? The classmates all let out contemptuous snickers. Unable to bear it all, Chen Sisi closed her eyes and fainted straight away. For the next few days, Chen Sisi did not come to school. Everyone also watched her as if she were a joke, occasionally bringing it up to mock her. Among them were those who had once been close to her, but now they all turned their guns around to ridicule her. That day, I had just finished my evening self-study and returned to the dormitory when I unexpectedly heard that a post on the campus wall had gone viral. Someone claiming to expose the true face of a certain rich girl posted, a top student in her senior year of high school, a girl who loves to flaunt her wealth, with an ugly appearance and a twisted heart, and a cruel hobby of tormenting others. She has always been jealous of the class's poor but beautiful girl, believing that the other girls stole the person she liked. As a result, she repeatedly subjected the girl to verbal insults, beatings, and torture, even forcing her to take hormone medications that caused her to gain weight. Such heinous acts are simply appalling. The accompanying image shows Chen Sisi lying unconscious in a hospital bed, and the skin exposed on her body is covered in various intricate new and old wounds. People both inside and outside the school were shocked, with hundreds of comments piling up below. Am I seeing this right? Is this still the 21st century? Do they really think they're princesses just because they have a bit of money? Poor students really have it rough. Are we poor people just playthings for the rich? Why should that be? Who is this girl? She's so despicable. I support exposing the bully and letting her face public judgment. The perpetrator must be severely punished. I strongly urge the school to expel her and not shield or condone her actions. That's right, the school must handle this impartially. Are these teachers just freeloaders? Can't they even see this? Are they blind? Additionally, a journalist claiming to be from the city television station stated that they had already interviewed the parties involved and were preparing to produce a program on the theme of school bullying. In the interview footage, Chen Sisi's face appeared even rounder. She desperately tried to act as if she were on the verge of collapse, but no matter how you looked at it, she still seemed quite robust. I truly couldn't bear this terrifying torment, which is why I had no choice but to take up public resources. Lu Qing always said she was just joking with me. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to mention her name. Woo woo. Qing, please don't hit me, I'm so scared. Last time, I went against her wishes, and she directly planted cheat sheets in my pencil case, setting me up to be caught by the teacher during the exam. It severely affected my performance, and I made mistakes. Originally, all my classmates knew I was the top scorer in the grade every time. Her performance instantly garnered countless sympathy and support, and I was directly doxxed. Lu Qing, right? Fine, ugly on the outside, evil on the inside. Let's not let this person off. Sisi, don't let her affect you. Your bright future is still ahead. We strongly demand that the school organize a retest to ensure justice for Sisi. We cannot let talent be buried. Where does Lu Qing live? I have something to discuss with her in person. Lu Qing must have used connections at the school to do whatever she wants. It is recommended that this school be thoroughly investigated as well. The class group was also buzzing with discussions about this matter, with everyone unanimously believing that my exam results this time were obtained through cheating or connections. At that moment, I was standing in front of the dimly lit bathroom mirror. My face had completely recovered, my skin was as smooth as jade, my lips were rosy red, my nose bridge was high and straight, and my eyes were clear and bright. My appearance was even better than before. And this meant that the so-called broken system had completely failed. I laughed, watching the rapidly scrolling and increasing comments, and gave each one a like. Well, spreading rumors to a certain extent can lead to criminal charges. Chen Sisi, you're really pushing your luck. I exited the page and decisively dialed the police hotline. Meanwhile, I spoke out under my real name. I am Lu Qing, and I support a retake of the exam to give everyone the so-called justice they deserve. It happened to be the weekend, and over these 2 days, I worked tirelessly to sort out the issues I had exposed during this joint exam. I conducted targeted remedial research and even memorized several English essays. After the system malfunctioned, I felt my brain work better, almost reaching the point of photographic memory. In just these 2 short days, I've achieved what I couldn't in the previous 2 weeks. On Monday morning, I arrived at the classroom with my backpack, and the specially set up exam room for Chen Sisi and me was already prepared. Outside, a crowd had gathered, along with a team of reporters carrying cameras. When I appeared, everyone present was stunned. Holy shit, she's so beautiful. Who is she? A celebrity from the entertainment industry? I don't know, she looks a bit familiar, but I can't quite place her. Is she some famous campus belle? Wow, I'm smitten. I finally understand what it feels like to fall in love at first sight. she's absolutely stunning. The reporter quickly brought the camera over to interview me, asking which class I was from. Facing the camera, I spoke slowly and deliberately. I am the so-called ugly and malicious girl online, Lu Qing. The crowd completely erupted. The reporter almost dropped the microphone. Immediately after, Chen Sisi was forcibly escorted to the scene. This person was arranged by me to ensure that Chen Sisi would definitely appear today. At this moment, her figure was bloated, her features were distorted, and her head was covered in sweat. The reporter stared at us in stunned silence for a long time, unable to even utter the interview lines he had prepared earlier. It was the school teacher who finally stepped in, allowing Chen Sisi and me to enter the examination hall to prepare for the test. The outcome was clear. From start to finish, I sat upright in my seat, calmly and steadily answering every question. Meanwhile, Chen Sisi alternated between pretending to feel dizzy and feigning nausea. Even at the last moment, when the bell rang 15 minutes before the end of the exam, she suddenly stood up and tried to rush toward me to tear up my answer sheet. Fortunately, the invigilator acted quickly and restrained her, but she was like a madwoman, crying and laughing hysterically, saying that I had ruined her. Once the exam was completely over, the teachers immediately began checking the answers. Good heavens, this set of questions is even more difficult than the joint exam, and yet Lu Qing still scored a perfect mark. The grading teacher was so excited he was almost speechless. This is a prodigy the likes of which our school has never seen before. All the media friends here have supervised the entire process of sealing the exam papers, so there's absolutely no way anyone could have gotten the answers in advance. The crowd erupted in an uproar. Damn, who posted that thread? They were just playing the netizens for fools. All that commotion was pointing straight at the school's credibility, and it turns out to be a false alarm. Lu Qing is beautiful, has excellent grades, and is wealthy. Why would she bother to argue with someone like that? I thought I was blind. If Chen Sisi looked like that, I'd avoid her too. Who would be jealous of her? Who on earth posted that thread? But coming here today was worth it. At least I got to see what a true all-around beauty looks like. At that moment, the police officers also arrived. The initiator of the rumor must be taken away for investigation according to the law. It wasn't until Chen Sisi was handcuffed that everyone realized this farce was orchestrated by her. But my gaze fell upon Lu Yu and Jiang Nian, who were hidden among the crowd. Without the two of them, Chen Sisi would never have escalated things to this point. Jiang Nian clenched his fingers and stared at me, his shoulders trembling uncontrollably. Lu Yu's brows were filled with resentment. I walked toward the two of them and spoke softly. Why did you do this to me? Lu Yu immediately roared. You knew all along. You've been pretending, toying with us all this time. Lu Yu, I don't owe you anything. I looked at him calmly, as if he were a piece of trash, unable to stir any ripples in my heart. Since we were young, you've always spoken harshly to me and tried to drive me out of the house multiple times. Lu Yu, the one who was originally redundant in this family was you. It was my mercy that allowed you to stay until now. Not only have you shown no gratitude, but you've treated me like this. You brought this upon yourself. I then turned to Jiang Nian. As our eyes met, I could see the tremor in his gaze. Jiang Nian, I don't know why we've come to this point. I used to like you, and I was willing to help you at all costs, but what did I get in return? Your scheming and betrayal. Jiang Nian closed his eyes tightly, and when he opened them again, they were bloodshot. Sisi, you don't know how much I wish you weren't so perfect. Being around you always makes me feel inferior. I admit, with you being so beautiful, it's hard not to be attracted to you, but I always felt like I wasn't good enough for you, and someone as outstanding as you was never meant to stay for me. It's not that I didn't want to like you, I just didn't dare to. Actually, I've already figured it out long ago. Lu Yu and Jiang Nian don't truly love Chen Sisi either. Real love means accepting everything about the other person, not binding me to a system to completely transform Chen Sisi. They are merely driven by their own insecurities, and Chen Sisi, who is adept at playing the weak, happens to satisfy their savior complex. Selfish as they are, the only person they have ever loved is themselves, and what they want to protect is always their own lofty status. I looked at the two of them, my voice squeezed through gritted teeth. I've now seen what ungrateful beasts look like. If heaven has eyes, both of you will receive the retribution you deserve. My words came true. Lu Yu became obese overnight and was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at the hospital. He frantically called our parents, but they had already learned about everything he had done to me. They sent him to a mental institution far from this city, where he could receive proper treatment, and Jiang Nian seemed to have turned into a fool. Even his speech became unclear. spending all day just holding a tablet and playing match 3 games. Jiang Nian's parents were terrified and took him abroad for treatment overnight. Chen Sisi fell from heaven into hell, and it was said that she couldn't withstand the pressure of interrogation in the detention center and broke down. As for me, I didn't get the guaranteed admission spot and had no choice but to continue preparing for the college entrance exam diligently. My parents suggested sending me abroad to study, but I refused. I don't want to be a parasite relying on my family. I've always wanted to rely on myself. My classmates have become incredibly friendly toward me. Every morning when I arrive in the classroom, my desk is filled with breakfast. Those who had distanced themselves from me because of Chen Sisi also came to apologize one after another. I'm sorry, Qingqing. It was all because Chen Sisi stirred things up behind your back, saying you looked down on us, secretly mocked us for being poor and tacky, and even forged your chat records. It was all our fault. We were fooled by her and chose to hurt you without even asking for your side of the story. Now, we deeply regret it. We never imagined Chen Sisi was that kind of person. She acted so convincingly, crying while she spoke and even begging us tearfully not to tell anyone, saying she'd be finished if word got out. I just laughed it off. Friends who would isolate me because of a few words from others aren't worth keeping in the first place. It's just that the college entrance exam is approaching, and I don't want these things to disrupt my rhythm. I worked even harder, cherishing this opportunity to finally fight for myself. I listened to English audio while walking, read essay materials while eating, and even dream about the problems the teacher explained in class while sleeping. I heard that everyone at school voted me as the most widely recognized all-around campus belle since the school was founded. Many younger students secretly say they wish they could be me, but only I know how hard this journey has been. A true goddess is never just about having a pretty face, but rather the unwavering strength, courage, and kindness that radiate from within. In fact, every girl is beautiful in her own unique way, exuding an upward vitality and youthful energy. Perhaps while you are admiring others, someone else is quietly admiring you. Everyone is the protagonist on their own stage. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My roommate Li Shui likes to pretend to be frugal. In the dead of winter, she refuses to swipe her card for a shower and instead uses a charcoal brazier in the dorm to keep warm and bathe. When I returned to the dorm and found Li Shui unconscious on the floor, I immediately called an ambulance, saving her life. After a month of continuous hyperbaric oxygen therapy, Li Shui slapped the 2,000 yuan medical bill in my face. Song Ci, I was just tired from taking a bath and fell asleep. Why did you have to send me to the hospital and make me pay a huge medical bill? Did you get a kickback from the hospital? With that, they posted a photo of me transferring money to a doctor in the grade group chat. I was bullied and isolated by all my classmates, and my boyfriend left me too. On a stormy day, Li Shui secretly followed me and took the opportunity to push me into the school's scenic lake. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the moment I discovered Li Shui had carbon monoxide poisoning. When I opened my eyes, the intense feeling of suffocation and fear hadn't faded yet, and I was gasping for air. It took a long time for me to gradually calm down. Looking at the smoke-filled dormitory, Li Shui lying naked on the floor, with the still-burning charcoal brazier beside her, I couldn't help but cough a few times. At that moment, I suddenly realized I had been reborn. I had returned to the day Li Shui suffered from carbon monoxide poisoning. Li Shui found it expensive to use the swipe card for showers, so she always bathed in her dorm room. Each time she bathed, she would first sneak a few pieces of charcoal from the school cafeteria and break off some branches from the trees. Downstairs, once the charcoal basin was burning and warm, she would start her bath. The hot water for bathing was free drinking water fetched from the hot water room. I've tried to persuade Li Shui several times, telling her that swiping a card to take a shower doesn't cost much, but she just mocked me, saying, "My family is poor, not like you," acting like a spoiled princess, so picky. After that, I stopped bothering with her. In my previous life, I had just returned to the dorm after studying in the library when I saw Li Shui passed out in the smoke-filled room. Without a moment's hesitation, I immediately pulled her out and called for help. With the help of my classmates, we opened the dormitory window and extinguished the charcoal brazier, and I called an ambulance. Li Shui was promptly taken to the emergency room. I also stayed with her at the hospital all night without sleeping. The next day, as soon as Li Shui woke up, she said she had a splitting headache and felt very dizzy. I persuaded her to continue receiving treatment at the hospital, and after hesitating for a while, Li Shui chose to continue with the treatment. Knowing that she was very frugal, I used my own living expenses to pay for her initial medical bills and hospitalization fees, but when Li Shui received the bill for the second month, she rushed straight to the classroom and slapped it right in my face. Song Ci. I was just tired from taking a bath and fell asleep. Why did you have to send me to the hospital and scam me out of a huge medical bill? Did you get a kickback from the hospital? I was stunned. She was the one who had carbon monoxide poisoning, and she was the one complaining of headaches and dizziness. I saved her, and now it's my fault. Before I could even argue, Li Shui posted a photo of me and a doctor transferring money in the grade group chat. Song Ci is colluding with a male doctor from the hospital to scam me, a poor student, out of my medical expenses. She then posted her proof of being a poor student. Looking at the photo of me and my uncle, I immediately explained that he is my uncle, but someone in the group immediately jumped in to add fuel to the fire. So you deliberately took your roommate to that hospital, and then he transferred money to you. Isn't this just blatantly scamming money? I've never seen such expensive medical fees. They must be taking kickbacks. The classmates in the group spoke up for Li Shui, one after another. No one cared about the truth of the matter. They just enjoyed watching the drama, and my uncle transferred me money because he forgot my birthday and insisted on making it up to me. I never expected her to secretly film the moment my uncle transferred me the money. The reason Li Shui's medical expenses are so high is that she refused to buy health insurance earlier to save money. After the incident blew up, I started getting all sorts of sarcastic remarks from my classmates. Pictures of me and my uncle were turned into various memes and forwarded everywhere in the group chats, and Li Shui just looked at me smugly. Who told you to make me lose such a large sum of money? I could have used that money to learn dancing, all because Li Shui had a crush on a rich second-generation student at our school, and that rich kid posted on social media saying he liked girls who could dance. When Li Shui lost hope of learning to dance, she started taking her resentment out on me. This time, looking at Li Shui lying naked and unconscious on the floor, I picked up my phone and dialed the counselor's number. Crying, I said, "Teacher Zhang, my roommate seems to be trying to commit suicide by burning charcoal. I'm so scared." This time, I didn't scream for help like I did in my previous life. Instead, I left the dormitory and closed the door again. When the counselor arrived, I was sitting outside the dormitory door, crying. The dormitory door was slightly ajar, and thick smoke still lingered inside. Li Shui was lying naked on the floor. Seeing Teacher Zhang Chao arrive, I wiped away my tears and asked, "Teacher Zhang, what should we do now?" Teacher Zhang Chao immediately pulled open the curtains, opened the window, and called for an ambulance. As Li Shui's only roommate, I accompanied Teacher Zhang Chao to take her to the hospital. The next day, as soon as Li Shui woke up, she began to moan in pain. "Ah, my head, it hurts so much, I feel dizzy." Seeing this, the doctor immediately came over. "Classmate, you have severe carbon monoxide poisoning. It is recommended that you be hospitalized for hyperbaric oxygen therapy first." Li Shui's symptoms were more severe than in her previous life, and she spoke with some difficulty, stammering, "See, can we not do it? I'll just go back and rest more." After speaking, she glanced at me hesitantly a few times. Seeing Li Shui cast an indecisive look my way, I immediately shifted my gaze to the window. Upon hearing Li Shui's words, Teacher Zhang Chao immediately furrowed his brows. "Li Shui, matters of life and death are no joking matter. Teacher Zhang, the treatment cost is too high." Song Ci, do you think I need hyperbaric oxygen therapy? Seeing this, Teacher Zhang stood up and walked over to me. Song Ci, hurry and persuade her. Li Shui is such a sensible child. I sneered inwardly. Without looking up, I suddenly clutched my stomach in pain. "You decide, my stomach hurts. I need to use the restroom first." Taking advantage of the opportunity, I slipped out of the hospital, this time, without me paying Li Shui's hospitalization and treatment fees. She indeed did not undergo hyperbaric oxygen therapy. After returning to school, Li Shui rested for 2 days and suddenly became very energetic, as if nothing had happened. She then kept saying to me, "Song Ci, it's a good thing I didn't do hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I saved a lot of money, and look how well I've recovered now." I forced a smile. "Yeah, you probably just fell asleep from exhaustion after taking a bath, right? I think I must have been so tired that I fell asleep." Before Li Shui could have another episode, I immediately applied to Teacher Zhang Chao to change dormitories. "Teacher Zhang, I'm afraid Li Shui might attempt suicide again. I haven't been able to sleep at all these nights." Teacher Zhang Chao did not agree and kept explaining on behalf of Li Shui. "Li Shui is a great roommate, she's smart and hardworking, and she said she just accidentally fell asleep while taking a shower." Song Ci, don't go around saying things carelessly outside, it could affect Li Shue's chances for awards and honors. If you speak carelessly, it could also affect your own chances for awards and honors. The advisor was threatening me, both openly and subtly. I'm sure there's something going on between Zhang Chao and Li Shue. In my previous life, I was subjected to all sorts of rumors and insults from Li Shue in the grade group chat, each word more unbearable than the last. And teacher Zhang Chao just pretended not to see it. I once privately messaged teacher Zhang Chao, saying, "Teacher Zhang, the photo in the group is of me and my uncle. Could you please delete the content in the group?" He just sneered and replied, "I never would have guessed, Song Ci, that you like someone so much older. That's my uncle. What's the big deal? We're all adults." The teacher understands, but you have to own up to your actions. Why would Li Shue target you for no reason? Think more about your own issues. I was caught off guard by Zhang Chao's words. In the grade group chat, memes of me and my uncle continued to circulate every day. As the counselor and group administrator, Zhang Chao did nothing to intervene, allowing the students to insult and mock me freely. This time, Zhang Chao was still trying to protect Li Shue, but I couldn't just sit back and do nothing anymore. A week later, I rented a place and moved off campus. Applying for off-campus housing only required going through the procedures with the dorm supervisor and the housing office. There was no need to get Zhang Chao's approval. In my previous life, because we were roommates, I helped Li Shue in every way I could. I let her copy my notes, brought her meals, and often gave her the bags and jewelry she wanted on holidays. Even though she never gave me any gifts in return, I understood her difficulties and still tried to help her as much as possible. Who would have thought that in the end, she would persecute me to death? So, this time, I need to stay far away from Li Shue as quickly as possible. A month later, the results of the school's scholarship awards were announced, and I overwhelmingly outperformed Li Shue to win the national scholarship. In my previous life, I should have been able to win the national scholarship, but Li Shue caused such a scandal that I was discredited, and in the end, my spot was revoked. In the end, the national scholarship naturally went to Li Shue, who came in second place. This time, with no leverage left in Li Shue's hands, the national scholarship was naturally mine. On the day the national scholarship list was announced, I saw Li Shue glaring at me from below the stage, her eyes filled with murderous intent. Not knowing what tricks Li Shue might pull next, I could only be even more cautious. That evening, in the quiet grade group chat, someone suddenly posted an anonymous photo of Li Shue. It was a photo of her lying naked on the dormitory floor on the day she suffered from carbon monoxide poisoning. Instantly, the group chat exploded with messages. "Wow, this is explosive. That silhouette looks like LX. It must be her. Didn't they say an ambulance came? Who posted this? Could it be her roommate, Mr. Zhang Chao?" Acted as if he hadn't seen the group messages, showing no reaction at all. Before long, most of the people speculating in the group turned their accusations toward me, but there was no evidence. The group chat remained lively until late into the night. The next day, as soon as I arrived at the classroom, Li Shue rushed up to me and raised her hand, ready to slap me. I grabbed her hand, pushed her to the ground, and sat on top of her, tightly gripping her hair. Li Shue struggled desperately on the floor, not forgetting to loudly slander me. "Song Ci, why did you take secret photos of me, and why did you spread my private photos everywhere? I'm going to report you for your immoral behavior." I snorted with a laugh. "So this is what you were waiting for?" Without hesitation, I immediately picked up my phone and dialed the police. Seeing this, Zhang Chao pushed his way through the crowd from behind and pulled me away from Li Shue. "Song Ci, you should apologize to Li Shue right now and tell the police not to come." I raised an eyebrow. "Why shouldn't they come?" Zhang Chao said without blushing or his heart racing. "Everyone knows you're Li Shue's roommate. If you didn't take the photo, who else could it be? Just apologize, and we can let this go. Li Shue isn't a petty person." Upon hearing this, Li Shue immediately became haughty. "Apologize to me properly and give up the national scholarship to me. Maybe then I'll consider forgiving you." I suddenly laughed. "Teacher Zhang, the police will be here soon. You'd better delete those photos quickly, or you won't be able to hide them once the police arrive." As soon as I finished speaking, the sound of police sirens slowly approached the classroom. A flicker of panic crossed Zhang Chao's face. "Don't talk nonsense. I need to go to the restroom first." As soon as Zhang Chao left, the photos in the group chat were deleted, and the group itself was disbanded. When he returned, Zhang Chao had put on an expression of bravado once more. "Sorry, everyone, I accidentally slipped and disbanded the group just now." Looking at the deleted photos in the group chat, a slight smile curled at the corner of my mouth. As soon as the police entered the classroom, Zhang Chao pushed through the crowd and stepped forward, trying to shoo them away. "Sorry, officers, my student was just joking when they called the police. Sorry for making you come all this way for nothing, please head back now." With that, he tried to push the two officers out. The two police officers exchanged a glance. False report. Filing a false report is no small matter. Zhang Chao panicked instantly and explained, "No, it's not." I stepped forward from behind and approached the police officers. "Officers, I'm the one who reported this. I want to accuse Li Shui of defamation." Everyone's gaze immediately shifted to Li Shui. The two police officers listened to the whole story and checked my phone, looking at the disbanded group and the anonymous, withdrawn, now missing photos. Both of them looked somewhat troubled. "It's a shame there are no photos, and the group has been disbanded. This makes things a bit difficult to handle." Zhang Chao and Li Shui suddenly showed expressions of relief on their faces. "I have them." With that, I opened the photo album and showed the group chat screenshot to the police. After reading it, the two police officers immediately decided to thoroughly investigate the matter. Li Shui, standing nearby, looked panicked. "Officers, I'm actually not sure who took the photo. I was just guessing it might be Song Ci." Zhang Chao walked over. "Li Shui, this is partly your fault too. You were so tired from showering that you just slept on the floor, giving someone the opportunity to take advantage. Listen to me, don't pursue this any further." Upon hearing this, Li Shui immediately nodded vigorously. "Officer, I don't want to pursue this anymore. We're all classmates, and if things get too ugly, it'll be hard to get along in the future." The more afraid they were, the more I looked forward to it. "Officer, spreading such photos is illegal, right?" "That's correct. We will go back and investigate this thoroughly." After saying that, I went back to the police station with the two officers, gave a statement, and provided them with the IP address for their investigation. The investigation results came out quickly. The picture was sent by Zhang Chao. When Zhang Chao was taken away, Li Shui quietly hid behind the crowd. "Li Shui, please help me explain this clearly." "Li Shui, help me." Upon hearing this, Li Shui quietly lowered her head and retreated into the crowd. Seeing that Li Shui was unwilling to help him, Teacher Zhang Chao curled his lips and glanced at her. Since the photos had been deleted, the police, in order to solve the case, used technical means to recover a large number of photos that Zhang Chao had deleted. Upon checking, it was discovered that Zhang Chao's phone contained a large number of photos of Li Shui, including ones of her in a strappy nightgown, on a hotel bed, and so on. From the photos, it appeared that Li Shui had willingly allowed him to take them. However, when Li Shui was called to the police station, she cried heavily, saying, "Officer, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why Teacher Zhang Chao is so perverted, secretly taking so many photos of me. You must make sure the wicked are punished." Saying this, she knelt on the ground and refused to get up. No matter how they questioned her, Li Shui insisted she knew nothing about these photos. Seeing Li Shui betray him like this, Zhang Chao also confessed everything in one go. It turns out that Li Shui had been maintaining an improper relationship with Zhang Chao for a long time in order to secure awards and honors. The photos in the group chat were also posted by Li Shui, who instructed him to do so in order to frame me. However, this is only Zhang Chao's one-sided account, with no evidence to support it. Meanwhile, Li Shui firmly insists that Zhang Chao secretly took photos of her. Finally, Zhang Chao was sentenced to 6 months in prison and lost his job as a counselor. Meanwhile, Li Shui acted as if nothing had happened, completely unaffected, continuing to attend classes every day and diligently searching for high-quality potential partners. Not long after, my boyfriend Lin Xuezhou returned from his exchange program abroad. Upon seeing that I had moved off campus, Lin Xuezhou showed no concern and instead resorted to sarcasm. "I lived in the countryside far away to save money when I was abroad. How can you not even endure the hardship of living in a dormitory? Rent outside the campus is so expensive every month. Wouldn't it be better to use that money to improve yourself? Look at your roommate Li Shui. She's learning dance right now." I suppressed my anger. "How do you know Li Shui is learning dance?" Lin Xuezhou's eyes shifted evasively. She posted it on her social media. After speaking, he tentatively glanced at me. "It's better to spend the money on learning skills, don't you think?" I curled my lips and slapped him twice across the face. "When did you secretly add Li Shui?" Lin Xuezhou immediately looked aggrieved. "I just happened to add her in the school's study abroad group. She was the one who added me first, but I didn't tell her I was your boyfriend." Hearing this, I slapped him a few more times across the face. "We're breaking up, get lost." it turned out that Lin Shuozhou had long been involved with Li Shui and the rich second-generation heir that Li Shui mentioned in my previous life. The one who loved dancing was Lin Shuozhou. During his exchange program abroad, Lin Shuozhou traveled on a tight budget, checking in at various spots across Europe. It actually made Li Shui mistakenly think Lin Shuozhou was a rich second generation. She just didn't know that Lin Shuozhou's living expenses for being an exchange student were borrowed from my scholarship. In the previous life, Li Shui wanted to learn dancing for the rich second generation in her social circle, but she didn't have the money because she had undergone hyperbaric oxygen therapy, so she held a grudge against me, feeling that I had blocked her dream of becoming a wealthy wife. And when Lin Shuozhou saw that I was being slandered by Li Shui, he just coldly said, "Why couldn't you just pay the money for your roommate? It's not like you're short on cash. Your pictures are being spread everywhere, and I'm the one getting hurt. Do I have no shame? Let's break up, and don't tell anyone I was your ex-boyfriend." Just like that, our 2-year secret relationship came to an end. After my reputation was ruined, I was also cruelly abandoned by Lin Shuozhou. This time, I finally realized that these two people with ill intentions had been problematic all along. After dumping the scumbag, the next day I showed up in front of Lin Shuozhou with the IOU in hand. When I went to the classroom to find him, he was bragging to a group of classmates about his experiences while studying abroad. Between the lines, he hinted that he was a well-informed rich second generation. Actually, he just relied on my living expenses to build his rich second generation persona. Before, because he was handsome, I kept spending money to chase after him. Lin Shuozhou gradually got used to my kindness towards him and agreed to be my secret lover. He said this would prevent teasing from those around us and allow us to focus on studying. I actually believed his nonsense, studying hard every day and winning awards until my hands were sore. Meanwhile, he was busy flirting and scheming about how to live off others. Later, when the school offered an opportunity for an exchange program abroad, he wanted to go, so I used my scholarship money to send him. But when he returned, having firmly established his rich second-generation persona, he dropped the act completely and did a complete 180 in his attitude toward me. Looking at Lin Shuozhou's face covered in a layer of powder, I really felt like I had been blind before. Seeing me approach, Lin Shuozhou's smile suddenly froze on his face, and he said with a stern expression, "What are you doing here? Don't even think about getting my forgiveness." I snorted coldly, took out the IOU, and slapped it on the table. 40,000 yuan, to be repaid within a month. Lin Shuozhou frowned and pulled me outside the classroom. "Song Ci, what are you doing? You're making me lose face. If you don't want to lose face, just pay back the money on time." Lin Shuozhou angrily took out his phone. "Fine, I'll pay it back right now." After some trouble, he finally managed to scrape together 40,000 yuan from several credit cards and paid me back. Given a second chance at life, I will take back everything that the scumbag and the bitch owe me. Li Shui takes a bath once every month and a half. She says bathing too often wastes water and charcoal. In reality, the charcoal is stolen from the cafeteria, and the water is taken from the school. She's just too lazy to bathe. Counting the days, Li Shui was about to take a shower in the dormitory again. Meanwhile, I secretly bought some synthetic charcoal and poured a little by the cafeteria charcoal pile every day, waiting for Li Shui to pick it up. Seeing so much scattered charcoal, Li Shui happily gathered a large pile into her bag and casually discarded the freshly broken branches. In the evening, as soon as it grew dark, not long after, a video exploded in the group chat. The video showed a naked man suddenly appearing in the hallway of the girls' dormitory, crawling on the floor. He seemed somewhat weak, crawling slowly and contorted. Amidst a burst of screams, the dorm supervisor rushed over and pinned the naked man to the ground. I tied the boy's hands with a nearby plastic bag. I looked at the boy's blurry face and found it somewhat familiar, but I couldn't recall who he was until another enlarged photo appeared in the grade group chat. It truly took me by surprise. The naked man is Lin Shuozhou. The classmates from the girls' dormitory followed the trail and found Li Shui once again lying unconscious and naked on the dormitory floor. The two of them were likely taking a romantic bath together in the dormitory with a charcoal basin, and as a result, they both suffered from carbon monoxide poisoning. In her previous life, after Li Shui was poisoned, she insisted that she had simply fallen asleep from exhaustion while bathing. I complained to Lin Shuozhou about Li Shui's ignorance. However, Lin Shuozhou kept refuting me, saying, "How could it be so easy to get carbon monoxide poisoning from using a charcoal basin for bathing? It might just be that the heat makes people feel drowsy. And why did you have to send her to the hospital for treatment? Could it be because your uncle is the dean of that hospital?" Lin Xuezhou knew very well that I had always been sincere and generous to others, yet he always liked to mock me from time to time. Lin Xuezhou, what are you talking about? Even a fool knows which hospital the ambulance takes people to is decided by the emergency center. Lin Xuezhou was left speechless by my retort. He continued to find ways to criticize me. Anyway, you're making a big deal out of nothing. In our family, we used to get headaches and feel unwell occasionally when we burned the stove. But we'd be fine after resting for a couple of days. It's no wonder people blame you. My conversation with Lin Xuezhou ended on a sour note, and this time, with Li Shui and Lin Xuezhou both suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning, I want to see if Lin Xuezhou will make a big deal out of nothing. Li Shui and Lin Xuezhou were quickly taken to the hospital. Lin Xuezhou crawled out early, so his symptoms were relatively mild. As for Li Shui, her brain had already been damaged by the previous carbon monoxide poisoning. Though the symptoms hadn't yet manifested, this time, the carbon monoxide further harmed her brain. The condition is much more serious. As soon as Lin Xuezhou woke up in the hospital, he tearfully begged the doctor to save him quickly. Doctor, please save me. I can't afford to have anything happen. My whole family is counting on me to find a good wife and achieve great success. Doctor, I'm an exchange student studying abroad. I have a bright future ahead of me. My brain can't be damaged. To recuperate his health, Lin Xuezhou directly took a month off and stayed in the hospital, although the doctor said his condition wasn't too serious and he only needed to go to the hospital daily for hyperbaric oxygen therapy, but Lin Xuezhou refused, fearing there might be some lingering effects. When Li Shui woke up and saw Lin Xuezhou by her side, she was deeply moved. Immediately trembling, she got out of bed and walked over to look at Lin Xuezhou. Xuezhou, are you here at the hospital specifically to keep me company? Seeing Li Shui's sickly appearance, Lin Xuezhou felt it was unlucky and kicked Li Shui away from the bedside. Get lost, it's all your fault that I ended up in the hospital. What kind of charcoal basin love bath were you thinking of? You almost killed me. You're paying the hospital bill. Li Shui wiped away her tears with grievance by the sickbed, stared blankly at Lin Xuezhou for a moment, and then went to settle his hospitalization fees. Looking at the meager balance in her account, Li Shui hesitated for a moment before returning to the ward. Xuezhou, my head is splitting with pain, and I feel dizzy. Do you think I should try hyperbaric oxygen therapy? Lin Xuezhou raised his chin and looked at Li Shui with disdain. You don't seem that sick to me. Just go back to school and get some rest. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is a bit expensive and unnecessary. If you have the money, it's better to spend it on learning skills and improving yourself. Upon hearing this, Li Shui beamed with joy and nodded vigorously. Xuezhou, don't worry, I will definitely study dance hard and won't embarrass you like your ex-girlfriend did. After saying that, she made up her mind not to waste a single penny in the hospital. Little did Li Shui know that Lin Xuezhou's embarrassing ex-girlfriend was actually me, the one she had always been jealous of. On the 7th day after returning to school, Li Shui still hadn't attended any classes. 2 weeks later, Li Shui developed delayed encephalopathy, experiencing memory loss and a rapid decline in cognitive abilities. When she realized the severity of the problem and returned to the hospital, the doctor said it was already somewhat too late. However, we can try to do more hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Li Shui found Lin Xuezhou. Xuezhou, I might have delayed encephalopathy and need hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Could you lend me some money first? Upon hearing this, Lin Xuezhou immediately sat up from the hospital bed. Li Shui, it's you who caused my illness. How dare you ask me for money? Li Shui said somewhat reproachfully, but it was you who told me to use the money for treating my illness to learn dancing. Lin Xuezhou understood from this that Li Shui was trying to blame her sequelae on him. He didn't want to be entangled by Li Shui. He immediately became angry. You chose not to see a doctor to save money, and now you're trying to extort me. We have nothing to do with each other. After saying that, I packed up my things and immediately went to complete the discharge procedures. I also blocked all of Li Shui's contact information. One night, Li Shui called me. Song Ci, I have carbon monoxide poisoning and now I'm experiencing delayed encephalopathy. Could you? Hello, what did you say? I can't hear you clearly. Before she could finish speaking, I pretended the network signal was bad and hung up the phone. Immediately after, I turned off my phone. The next day, as soon as I turned on my phone, the video of Li Shui and Lin Xuezhou taking a romantic bath with a charcoal basin in the dormitory had already spread and was being forwarded in various group chats. Instantly became the top headline on the school forum. The conversation between the two was unbearable to hear, and the footage captured was even more unsightly. Later on, the charcoal brazier burned brighter and brighter, and Li Shui collapsed to the ground. Unable to get up, Lin Xuezhou's steps also began to falter, and he eventually crawled out of the room on his own. Li Shui made the video with the intention of extorting money from Lin Xuezhou later, or in case she became pregnant, to secure her position, but Lin Xuezhou was so heartless and even caused her to suffer from carbon monoxide poisoning after effects. She then began to take revenge on Lin Xuezhou. Once the video spread, the perfect rich second-generation persona that Lin Xuezhou had built at school instantly collapsed. Our specialized class was in the middle of a session when Lin Xuezhou suddenly burst into the classroom, ignoring the teacher's reprimands and attempts to stop him during the lecture. Walking up to Li Shui, he directly slapped her twice across the face. "Bitch, was it you who secretly filmed it? Are you trying to get me killed?" While uttering these vicious words, Lin Xuezhou picked up a stool nearby. Just as he raised it, it was snatched away by the surrounding classmates, so the stool never landed on Li Shui's head. "You just wait, I'm going to make you pay for this." With that, he turned and left the classroom, leaving the stunned students and the bewildered teacher behind. However, I clearly saw a sinister smile appear on Li Shui's face. It was exactly the same smile she had when she pushed me into the water in my previous life. 2 days later, a floating corpse appeared in the school's scenic lake. Male, approximately 180 centimeters tall. After the police arrived, they retrieved the body from the scenic lake and placed it on the wooden bridge. When the body was turned over, the person's entire face had been eaten away by fish, leaving only the bones. Only 2 large holes remained where the eyes should have been, the eyeballs long gone. Up close, it was just a skull, with some scattered bits of flesh and skin hanging from it. After investigation, it was found that the victim had been drunk before falling into the water, stabbed in the abdomen with a knife and then pushed into the scenic lake. He had been floating in the lake for 2 days before being discovered. Through DNA testing, the police confirmed that the deceased was Lin Xuezhou. After reviewing the school's surveillance footage, it was discovered that 2 nights ago, a person wearing a black raincoat took advantage of Lin Xuezhou's drunken state, stabbed him multiple times, and then pushed him into the scenic lake. The police quickly investigated Lin Xuezhou's social circle and contacts before the incident, identifying the suspect Li Shui. Li Shui was taken to the police station. However, due to delayed encephalopathy, Li Shui's entire body had become increasingly listless, and her consciousness had become somewhat confused. From time to time, she exhibited symptoms such as being unable to understand the police's words and experiencing incontinence. Seeing this, the police had no choice but to first send Li Shui to the hospital for treatment, with plans to conduct further questioning later. After a month of treatment in the hospital, Li Shui's condition did not improve. Instead, her cognitive decline became increasingly severe. The case could only be delayed again and again. Eventually, the hospital, having been consistently owed the hospitalization fees, no longer allowed Li Shui to receive treatment there. The school had no choice but to contact Li Shui's parents and ask them to take her home. Who would have thought that as soon as Li Shui's parents arrived at the school, they started causing a scene. "It's your school that caused my daughter to end up like this. Pay up." With that, she started throwing a tantrum and rolling on the ground at the school gate. Under pressure, the school negotiated and agreed to compensate Li Shui's parents with 200,000 yuan. Upon hearing this, Li Shui's parents exchanged a glance and said, "No, at least 400,000, we have 2 sons, and both need to get married." Seeing Li Shui's parents push their luck, the school directly refused compensation and chose to be sued by Li Shui's parents. After investigation, it was found that Li Shui's charcoal was stolen from the cafeteria, and burning charcoal in the dormitory was strictly prohibited. Li Shui's delayed encephalopathy had no connection to the school. However, in the end, out of humanitarian spirit, the school compensated Li Shui with 50,000 yuan for medical expenses. After all the commotion, the amount was reduced from 200,000 to 50,000 yuan. In the end, Li Shui's parents took her home in disgrace. As Li Shui was being dragged away by her parents, she was continuously scolded and beaten. "You useless thing. Now we only got 50,000 yuan in compensation. What can that do? How are your 2 younger brothers supposed to get married? Old lady, when you get back, quickly find a family for Shui, one that offers a high bride price. Our family can't afford to keep her." Li Shui's father smiled and agreed. All right. Watching Li Shui's family walk away, I felt an indescribable emotion in my heart. Li Shui had already become mentally impaired due to carbon monoxide poisoning, and it was uncertain how much longer she would live. But now, she is still being squeezed for the last bit of value by these family members. However, all of this is the result of her own actions, and she must bear the consequences herself. A few months later, rumors spread that Li Shui had died. After Zhang Chao was released from prison, he still wanted to find Li Shui to teach her a lesson, but he happened to arrive just in time for Li Shui's funeral. Li Shui, Zhang Chao, and Lin Xuezhou are all gone, and my campus life has returned to peace. I began to cherish